What's up, YouTubers? Welcome back to my channel. If you're new to my channel, please go ahead and hit that subscribe button. If you like this channel, if it's helpful, please go ahead and hit that like button. Any question or comments, leave down below. In today's video, we're going to be doing struts. How to do struts. This is on a 2006 Nissan Murano, but they're all pretty much the same on these SUVs. So, all right, first things first is after you got the car jacked up, make sure you got a safety jack underneath there. Find a good solid place to jack it. I'm up on the frame there, solid. But this is ABS. It goes in that little boot right there. You pull that out. The brake hose, there's a little clip right here. Little clip. You take a screwdriver and pop that off. Work that out. There's a little another little clip right there to hold the ABS sensor from the back. These are all attached to the strut. Oil everything down. Everything you need. The two bolts right here. The sway bar link. And then on this vehicle application, you gotta lift this plastic up, and then there's 3 bolts right here. Each now on the top of these cars, they're all gonna be a little different, but they're very similar in the procedure of removing the strut. That one's a 17 millimeter. Now a lot of these sway bar links, they're gonna spin from the back side, and especially in Minnesota here, but a lot of this. So what I did was I use a needle nose vice grip, or you can use a wrench, but it's kind of a tight spot, so I just use a needle nose vice grip. Works. So you gotta lay that off to the side. But you can use a little heat too, but I will be putting anti-seize on this when I'm going back together. But yep, that's how you get that sway bar link off. All right, the next step is to remove these 2 bolts. This one is a 17 on one side on the wrench and a 22 on the inner. Let's remove these. All right, it's coming loose. All right, I got these bolts loose. I always pull with the bottom one or top one of the one. Just leave one in there so it keeps the pressure on the whole system. Because then we're gonna go up on top here and remove these little bolts. So yeah, just leave one bolt in there to keep the strut from dropping down. The control arm, I meant. All right, you see the whole thing drop down? That's all right, because we're gonna get the floor jack underneath there and probably push that back up. But now sometimes you might need a magnet to get some of these bolts out. I got 2 of them out, but one's down there in the hole still. So it's probably a good idea to get a little magnet. But the new strut's got the new bolts too, so it's not the end of the world. There it is. Just be very careful of these ABS. Just make sure them boots are out, but that's what it looks like when it's out. You can probably get that bolt up there now. But yeah, that's the 3 holes. Then were the 2 bolt holes. So it's out. Quick strut, that's the only way to go. I always match it up with the old one. I think it goes like this. Oh, let's see. Make sure you line up, make sure you got the right side. Yep. Start from the bottom, work your way up. You got the new bolts. Monroe Struts, the only way to go, lifetime warranty. All right, so what I did, as you can see the gap, it's still up there. I got the somewhat lined up, but what you do is you set this in place, put one bolt in there, because your control arm's already dropped down. So if you just line up and get the bottom bolt up, we're gonna use the floor jack to jack up underneath here to raise it to get these top bolts on there. Because you'll never be able to get your fingers up on top, try to hold the strut and get this bolt started. That's gonna be really hard. So just line up the bottom, get that one bolt in, watch out for the ABS. But mock it up. All right, a little trick is too, I forgot to tell you guys, that's them 3 bolts on top, them are called a turntable. You gotta turn those. I use a screwdriver, but you should line them up before you take match the old strut up, match the old top of the 3 screws to the top so you ain't fighting it before you get that bolt in there. So when you go jack it up, it lines into place. So yeah, that top turns the 3 bolts. Okay, see how I got my floor jack just right underneath the control arm. See, once you get the 3 bolts lined up, you can go ahead and jack it up. And it jacks right up there. You get to the top of the bolts. So just take it nice and easy. Let the jack do all the work. Just make sure them 3 bolts are lined up on top. So you come on top, you can see the 3 bolt holes right there. I already, word of advice, put some anti-seize on everything you take off. Makes the next guy really appreciate it. So I got 1 bolt in there, so everything's just kind of mocked up right now. It's time to reassemble. Recommended is a magnet, because then you could just kind of see how that goes. Now you can kind of set your finger on top there and just kind of help spin it. It helps out a lot. Else you'll be dropping them bolts down there, believe me. I'm gonna hand tighten them all. I just use my power ratchet to get it down there. So, all right, once you got them both started, so then everything's all loose. Then you take the pressure off the jack a little bit. Take some pressure off that jack. Like everything a little loose, so you can you can take a ratchet, or you can just take a hammer. Tap them in there. You can use a ratchet either way. Just get them through in there with your hands first. Make sure everything's all loose. The key is to keep everything loose. You don't want no bindage when you're reassembling. And then always make sure to go around and check all your ABS wires and your brake lines. Make sure that none of them are pinched in between here, nothing like that. Yep. And let's continue on. All right, so now you gotta get your linkage. That's gonna go in that hole, remember? So what you do is I just kind of line it up like that a little bit. And then take your floor jack. There you go. Now leave the jack on there. And then now I got everything all lined up. Everything's put where it needs to be. Don't put no bolts on or nuts yet until you get everything assembled. Then we'll get that nut on there. Make sure you get anti-seize on there. Put anti-seize on everything. Mechanics sure appreciate that. All right, I gotta hand tighten that, but I always start them with your hand. There you go. I'll double check them. I always double check your work. Why not? I put some anti-seize on that. Make sure that retaining clip locks in there underneath that brake hose. You might have to bend it and tweak it a little bit, but make sure it locks in there. Then the bottom one, ABS. Little anti-seize doesn't hurt, and all the little rubber boots. That's it. I'm gonna anti-seize that up too for the customer. Inspect his brakes. I'll do a thorough one through since you got the tire off. But yeah, there's a new strut. Cold here in Minnesota. December. Go up there and check your bolts. Make sure they're all evenly threaded. Just always double check your work. Doesn't hurt. All right. All you gotta do is repeat the same procedure on the other side. Left and right are basically the same, just opposite. I was gonna also add a note. I always tear it out one side at a time, so you always have a reference point. So if you do one side at a time, if you forget how to do a procedure, you could always go look at the other side. It's a good good train of thought. Basically anytime you work on a vehicle, brakes, struts, suspension. All right, folks, well, there you got my struts. How to replace your struts, do it yourself. If this video was helpful, or if you like this video, please go ahead and give it a thumbs up. Any questions or comments, please leave down below. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe to my channel. I got more how to do it yourself repairs, and there'll be more content coming. But thanks for watching my video. Until next time, peace.